I'm just honored to be on this call with my good friend, uh, Harry Akinola. What a great man he is, what a great visionary he is. It has been my delight to meet with him and speak with him. And if you're on the line, Harry Akinola, please know that I'm on your team. I'm here to serve in whatever capacity. And I've been watching this uh, online event with great enthusiasm, and you all have been doing amazing. So what I want to do is to talk about probably the most difficult subject in leadership. The most difficult subject in leadership is self-leadership. Self-leadership. It is the hardest because it is the beginning point of everything that we do in our lives. Whatever starts is the hardest part. For example, life just starts at childbirth. So that's where what we call the pangs of childbirth. If you're building a building, digging out the foundation, going underground is some of the hardest work you're going to do. But for a child, probably the most influential part is the first or second year of school, be it pre-K or K or nursery, whatever that might be. But self-leadership is very, very difficult. What I have found is that people are eager to lead others, but don't want to lead themselves. So what I want to do is I want to give you the 7 steps to destiny. I'm going to give them all to you. So if you have something to write down, I'm going to give you the words to write down. I'm going to talk about the 7 steps to destiny. And then I will, after that, talk to you about the 7 questions I ask myself. The 7 questions I ask myself. 7 steps to destiny. And after that, 7 questions I ask myself. Last year, I wrote a book called New Thinking, New Future. New Thinking, New Future, in which I talked about it all starts up here. So let me give you the 7 steps to destiny. If you're ready, let me start. I'll give you all 7 steps, and then I'll come back and talk maybe 30 seconds about each one of them. So my plan is to teach you for about 25, 30 minutes, do some question and answers after that, and then I have some concluding comments and my gifts that I want to give to you as well at the end of that. Here are the 7 words. Number 1, thoughts. Your thoughts, how you think. Number 2, your words. Number 3, your decisions. Number 4, your actions. Number 5, your habits. Number 6, your character. And number 7, your destiny. Let me give them to you again. Thoughts, words, decisions, actions, habits, character, destiny. Let me give this to you again. Thoughts, words, decisions, actions, habits, character, destiny. 7 words. Let me give you a few thoughts behind each one of them. The first one is thoughts, how you think. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It all starts with how you think. So everything that you're doing right now began with a thought. You are on this call because it began with a thought. I'm in a room because it began with a thought. I'm wearing these glasses because someone thought that. I'm wearing a shirt because of a thought. I've got lights because of a thought. Internet because of thought. Everything began with a thought. Have you ever looked at people and said, what were they thinking? Let me tell you, they were not thinking. It all begins with how a person thinks. I can be around you for about 5 minutes and pretty much tell you at the level of leadership you're at by the questions that you ask, because your questions are a revelation of your thoughts. The second is words. Now, I'm not talking about the words here. I'm talking about the words that go on in your head. The words that go on in your head are words that control everything, self-talk. For example, the most important conversations you ever have are going to be with yourself. Let me say something else. The most important conversations will never come out of your mouth. It will be like, I'll say this, then he'll say that. I'll say this, then he'll say that. It all goes on. The words going on in your head. Words going on like, I'm not good enough. Words that go in saying, I'm qualified for that. Words that say, well, they disrespected me. Words that say they honored me. All these words are going on in your head. You see somebody and say, I like her. Yeah, I don't like her. I like what they did. I don't like what they did. Even right now, there are words going on in your head as you're listening to me. Those are the most important words that will never come out of your mouth. So, thoughts, words, and that leads us to decisions. I wrote a whole book on culture, organizational culture. It's called Culture Catalyst. It's on Amazon, and you can get it anywhere. In which I say to you that your decisions tell me more about the culture of an organization than anything else. But you don't make a decision till you have thought, you have said something to yourself, and then you make a decision. And number four is actions. So when you take an action, remember it's not the first step, it's not the second step, it's not the third step, it's actually the fourth step. Give you an example. Has anybody ever come to you and asked you for your opinion, asked you for your advice, asked you for your counseling, your coaching, your mentoring, and you give them the best that you have, and they come back to you 2 weeks later and say, ah, can you help me again? Because what they ask is, their question is, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? So if you tell them what to do, you're taking them to step four, from zero to step four immediately. And there's no way for them to go from zero to step four immediately. So you have to say to yourself, what are they thinking? Step number one. Step number two, what are they saying? Step number three, what decisions are they making? And hence, step number four. It would be like you standing, you're entering a house and there are steps to the house and you are at the ground level and they ask you, what should I do? And you say, come to step number four. It is hard for them to get to step number four simply because they have not thought about what are they thinking, what are they saying, what decisions are making, the action. Number five, you keep doing actions long enough, they become habits. They become habits in a person's life. We all have habits. Habits in that. Brushing your teeth is a good habit. Taking a shower is a good habit. Being on time is a good habit. Reading your Bible and praying is a good habit. Going to church is a good habit. Reading books is a good habit. So habits are not bad, but we all have habits. But habits happen because of continual actions. If you take a shower, for example, you've been taking a shower all your life. Every morning, you have a certain routine in the morning to do whatever you do. So what I'm saying to you is, habits become part of number six is your character. Your character. Do you know people who are habitually late? It started as an action, became a habit, and now it's part of their character. You know, people who promise but don't deliver, that's part of their character. Because your character, so this is what I want to say, your charisma, your capabilities can get you into a room, but your character will keep you in the room. At the end of the day, your stamina for your life, the stamina for your leadership, your staying power is determined not by your capabilities, not by your competency, not by your education, but by character. I've lived long enough, traveled all over the world, and I can tell you the reason most people in leadership fail is because of character. And character is something that will take you a lifetime to build and 30 seconds to destroy. So what I'm saying to you is to make sure that you follow those steps, because as you follow those steps, you come to number seven, which is your destiny. So let's go over those 7 words. And I want to give you the 7 questions, 10. Ask yourself every day. Thoughts, words, decisions, actions, habits, character, destiny. That is the pathway of self-leadership. So I'm going to give you the 7 questions that I ask myself every day. 7 questions I ask myself every day. that help me in self-leadership. Because I know this, if I'm not leading myself, I cannot lead you. Because everybody's eager to lead others. Everybody wants to get in a platform. Everybody wants to write a book. Everybody wants to have influence. Everybody wants to do all that. But none of that will be happening if you're not leading yourself. So question number one, I have 7 questions. Question number one, who am I? Who am I? That's a question of identity and security. Who am I? You know, the unfortunate part is I'm around so many leaders who are trying to be like somebody else. Did you know when you get to heaven, no one's going to ask you, why weren't you Billy Graham? Why weren't you T.D. Jakes? Why weren't you Harry Akinola? Nobody's going to ask you, why weren't you somebody else? They're going to ask you, who are you and why weren't you the best you? Because see, there's only one you. There's no duplicate of you. So why do you want to be an echo of somebody else when you can be a voice of your own? Why do you want to act like somebody else when God created you totally like you are? So who am I? Question of identity, question of security. Now younger leaders struggle with that. I struggled with it many times. I can tell you this, I still struggle with that. Because there's always somebody who can speak better than me, teach better than me, has greater leadership skills, has greater influence, has greater way of getting the message out. There's always somebody out there, and I find myself trying to become like somebody else, trying to be like somebody else. And in doing that, guess what I do? I lose myself. In doing that, I lose who I really am. The first question is, Sam Chan, who are you? Who are you trying to become? I want to be the best God intended for me to be. So question number one, who am I? It's a question of identity and security. If you will settle that, that everybody can see the genuine, authentic you, God will use you in ways that he can never use you till you become who you are. Question number two, what is my address? What is my address? That's the question of location. That's a question of location. Now, the reason I say that is I hear that all the time. If I was in that place, I would be more successful. If I was doing that, I would be better off. If I could have them for my publishers, I would be better off. And we never realize that God gives us grace for service for where we are. What is your location? What is my address? Where has God called me? And you see, if you're not careful, you'll be here looking over there. You'll be here and not enjoy the here. You'll always be looking at what you don't have. And that is part of self-leadership. Till you can appreciate with gratitude what you are and where you are, you will never be able to appreciate with gratitude where you're going. So many leaders are talking to you but looking over your shoulder at somebody else. They're in this room but want to be in that room. They're at this location but want to be at that location. They're at this company but want to be at that company. And what you don't realize is that your now, listen to me now, your now is determining your next. I'm going to say that again. Your today is determining your tomorrow. Your now is determining your next. So question number one is, who am I? The question of identity and security. Question number two, what is my address? The question of location, because you have grace for service there. Question number three is my struggle. Question number three is, what time is it? What time is it? And that's the question of maturity. What should be happening in my life at this given time? So let me use myself for an example. In just a few weeks, I'll be 68. Thank God for that. I'll be 68 years of age. I have to ask myself, what should be happening at this age and stage in my life? What time is it? Should not I be more mature than I am right now? So, give you an example. I was born and raised in a pastor's home in India. I've been to Bible college. I've been to seminary. I have pastored church. I have been a university president. I am consulting with leaders in corporate and church all over the world. I have written over 20 books. I have a leadership journal. I have a leadership institute. I have all of it. Then why is it that when my wife of 41 years says something I don't appreciate, I act in immature ways? After 41 years of marriage, after children and grandchildren, after being a believer all these years, after leadership, why do I act stupid? Why do I say the same words as I was saying when we were married 1 year? After 41 years? I know some of you never have that problem, but I do. Why is it when I'm in traffic, and somebody cuts me off, just cuts me off, why is it that I act in immature ways? Don't be looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. why, why do we think the words we think? Sometimes even say those words. Why do we gesture in ways? I'm not going to do that right now. But why do we gesture in ways with our hands? And why do we get angry after all that we've been through? What happens? So question number 3 is, what time is it? What should be happening in my life right now? Should I not be more mature? Should not be further down the road? I don't know about you. You might be holier than me. You might be more mature than me. You might be further down the road. But let me make a statement about Sam Chand. I am late. I am behind. I mess up in this department more than any other department. Because my level of maturity, I know this, that my level of maturity should be more than it is right now. So why do I get angry? I shouldn't be. Not at that little thing. Why do I get annoyed? Why do I get frustrated? Why do I get desperate? Why do I give up hope? All of that, I have to understand, say to myself, Sam, you are further along in life. You should be further along in life. And I think that is the dilemma of leaders. For example, when a leader gets angry at a group of people publicly, that leader is losing more leadership equity than they realize. Let me say that again. Whenever you as a leader get angry at a group of people publicly, you are losing major leadership equity because you are not able to lead yourself. So question number 1, who am I? Question of identity and security. Question number 2, what time is it? The question of location. Question number 3, what time is it? Question of maturity. Question number 4, who else can do this? Who else can do that? And that's the question of building a team. Who else can do that? The question of building a team. Anybody around me knows this, that whenever I get a request for something, my first thought is, who else can do that? I will always introduce you to somebody else. Who else can do this? Because whatever I can do, only I can do. But whatever we can do a whole lot more. We is always going to be bigger than I. It's building a team. In my book, Who's Holding Your Ladder? Many of you have read that book, Who's Holding Your Ladder? I talk about it. If you want to go up the ladder, if you want to succeed higher, if you want to fulfill your vision, if you want to ascend to where you're trying to go, you have to be willing to build a team. And building a team is tough work. Building a team is hard. Building a team can be disappointing, but building a team can be the most gratifying thing you will ever do. Build a team. So question number 4 is, who else can do that? How am I building a team? Think about Jesus for a moment. Before he raised the dead, before he fed the hungry, before he healed the sick, before he did anything. In Luke chapter 6, the first thing that Jesus does is to build a team. And he had teams within teams. So if you remember, he had the 70 disciples. Then in Luke chapter 10, then he had the 12. And then among the 12, he had the 3. I call that his ELT, his executive leadership team. The rest of them were the DLT, the directional leadership team. And then the rest of them were basic consumers, sales agents. But he had teams, and then he had teams within teams. So who is your Peter, James, and John? Who are your 12? Because Jesus knew this, that one day he would leave this planet, and the only way that his work would continue, only way his legacy would go on, only way that what he came to do would become sustainable, not scalable, sustainable. Scaling is when you grow it. Sustaining is how long it will last. So the only way what you are doing as a leader can be sustainable is by building a team. You need a strategic plan of how to build a team. Jesus selected them, he appointed them, he empowered them, he developed them, he trained them, he did all of that simply to create a team. Question number 1, who am I? Question number 2, what is my address? Question number 3, what time is it? Question number 4, who else can do that? Question number 5, how will I know I'm successful? How will I know I'm successful? Let me tell you something. What you drive is not an identity of success. Because you may have borrowed all that money. Where you live, what you wear, your house, none of them are about success. The real issue is, how will I know I'm successful? After living almost 68 years, I can tell you how Sam Chan thinks he's successful. Number 1, I still love Jesus. Number 2, I'm still married to the same woman that I married for the first time, 41 years. I have 2 daughters who love the Lord, 2 children only, Rachel and Debbie, who love the Lord, have wonderful families. Lord has blessed me with amazing friends all over the world. Harry Akinola is one of my close friends. That is how I consider success. Not the house, not the car, not the money, not my investments, not my books, not my influence. All those are great and wonderful. But the real success is your inner circle, your personal circle. Because when you came into this world, you came into family. When you leave this world, you leave with family. You can be a public success and a personal failure. Please hear me now. And you know a lot of people, I know a lot of people who are successful publicly, but total failures personally. How will I know I'm successful? Because of what's happening in my life. I'm talking about self-leadership. The second thing I need for you to understand about success is it comes incrementally. I want to write down 2 words, and now I want to give you a scripture behind that. Incremental increase. Incremental increase. Incremental increase. 2 words. Incremental increase. God comes to Moses in Exodus chapter 23, verses 29 to 30. Exodus chapter 23, verse 29 to 30. Probably my most encouraging verse in the Bible. My most encouraging verse in the Bible. God comes to Moses and says to him, hey, listen, I could give you all of this overnight. I could give you breakthrough. I could give you quantum increase. I can move you from step 0 to step 10 overnight. And then he comes to him and says, but you know something? You will not be able to handle it. you will not be able to handle it. And then God gives him a promise. Here's the promise. The promise is, I will give it to you little and little. Those three words are the most important words in the Bible, I think, for leaders. Little and little, little and little, little and little, little and little, little and little. Not much and much, not a lot and a lot, not big leaps. Those happen infrequently. What you will find in your life and I found in my life is your benchmark for success. How will I know I'm successful? It'll happen incrementally. For example, you see a friend, or let's talk about a child. You see a child, and if you're a parent, you see the child grow up, grow up, grow up. But if you see them once a year, you see them grown up like that. Why? Because there's incremental increase. Incremental increase. So the question that I'm asking you is number 5, and ask myself is, how will I know I'm successful? It is incremental increase, little and little. I tell you what, let's everyone say those 3 words, little and little. Everyone together, 1, 2, 3. Little and little. One more time. Little and little. One more time. Little and little. Now, I'm all about breakthrough. I preach about breakthrough. I believe in breakthrough. But please know, most of our lives are not defined by breakthroughs. Most of our lives are not defined by quantum leaps. Most of our lives are defined by little and little. That's why I call it incremental increase. Question number 1 was, who am I? Question number 2 was, what is my address? Question number 3 was, what time is it? Question number 4 was, who else can do this? Question number 5 was, how will I know I'm successful? Question number 6, how do I deal with conflict? How do I deal with conflict? Can I say something to you? I don't care how saved you are, you will have conflict. Conflict is not good, conflict is not bad. Conflict simply is. Conflict is a reality of life. So what is conflict? Let me define conflict for you. If this is expectation and this is reality, the distance between expectation and reality is known as conflict. As simple as that. So if you said to somebody, hey, meet me at that restaurant at 7 o'clock, meet me at that restaurant at 7 o'clock, that's the expectation. It is 7:15, it is 7:30, it is 8, it is 8:30. You see how conflict is increasing? Now they can say, I'm got stuck in traffic and this, that, and the other, but at that time, as you are waiting for them in the restaurant at 7 o'clock, it doesn't matter. Conflict. So how do you deal with conflict? How do I deal with conflict? So conflict is either good or bad. Now listen to me now. Conflict is only healthy or unhealthy. So you have to deal with conflict, but in a healthy way. Let's talk about conflict resolution. The reason why most conflict resolution does not work is because we end up talking about reality. You were late. But the real conflict resolution is when you deal with expectation. So all of you leaders, no matter who you are, you're dealing with conflict with yourself, with others, people you work with, people around you, your family, whoever it is. When you're doing conflict resolution, you can focus if you want to on the reality, what has happened. But the real issue of conflict resolution is what was the expectation. And therefore, let me say something to all the leaders on this call. The more clear you are about your expectations, the lesser the propensity for conflict. And so you try to bring reality and conflict as close together like this. But that only happens if you are absolutely clear about your expectation. I'll give you an example. I was going to do a roundtable, leadership roundtable, an executive roundtable for leaders at an organization. Before the meeting started, I was meeting the CEO of this organization in his office. We're having a good time. We're talking about everything. He's a good friend of mine, corporation, CEO of a very large corporation. And then it was time for us to go down to the meeting room where all the other leaders were gathered at a leadership roundtable. So this friendly man, the CEO, who's walking with me, when we entered the room, he was visibly upset. He was angry, actually. And I looked at him and said, "What happened? Why are you angry?" He says to me, "I told them to set up tables and chairs." I said to him, "I see tables and chairs. There are tables there, and there are chairs there." He said, no, they have put rectangular tables. I wanted them to put round tables so people could sit around round tables. I asked him, "Did you tell them round tables?" He said, "They should have known." I said, "Really?" They should have read your mind. If you had told them round tables, he says to me, now this actually happened. He looks at me, he says, "What do I have to do? Draw pictures for them?" I looked at him and said, "Yes." If you had drawn a picture of how you wanted the room to be set up, we would not be having this moment. Your blood pressure would not be high. You'd be laughing, you'd be smiling, you'd be happy. So he had a conflict because he had clarity was not there. The other thing that I want to say to all the leaders, especially in the days that we are living in, especially in the global ecosystem that we are living in. Can I describe our ecosystem to you? We are experiencing the world's worst physical pandemic since 1918. We are experiencing the world's worst economic upheaval since 1929. We're expecting the world's greatest social upheaval since the 1960s. So our ecosystem, environment, atmosphere in which we are operating is like that. And so the need for clarity, not just communication, the need for clarity, please hear me. You've got to get the word clarity in your head, not communication. Clarity, be clear. Ask them, "Did you understand? Do you know? Can I draw a picture for you?" The need for clarity is greater today than ever before. Question number one, who am I? Question number two, what is my address? Question number three, what time is it? Question number four, who else can do this? Question number five, how will I know I'm successful? Question number six, how do I deal with conflict? Let me give you the last question. This is probably the hardest question. I'm going to say this about 3 times.
Right.
I've asked this question of myself for over 30 years every day. I say it at least 3 times. It's a longer question. Here's the question. What is it about me that will keep me from becoming all that God intends for me to be? What is about me? Not you, not them. What about me? I'm talking about self-leadership now. What is about me that will keep me from becoming all that God intends for me to be? Let me give that to you again. What is about me that will keep me from becoming all that God intends for me to be? So remember this. This is not about you. This is about them. It is about me. And that is what I wanted to talk to you about. I talked to Harry earlier, asked him what he wanted to speak on. He said, talk from your book, New Thinking, New Future. And I've taken and condensed that and given it a focus of self-leadership. So after this call is over, you will have heard all kinds of good information from dozens of speakers, from amazing leaders from all over the world. But I'm here to tell you, none of that is going to work if you're not willing to lead yourself. Self-leadership is the very foundation on which you're going to build the rest of your leadership.